Hey there people, how you doing? So today we have the video comparison between the OnePlus 8 Pro and Note 20 Ultra. And fun fact, the Note 20 Ultra costs about double the amount of money as compared to the OnePlus 8 Pro, at least in India. And so, well, for double the price, it's time to see if the Note 20 Ultra's camera, especially the video quality in this video, is actually that much better as compared to the OnePlus, or is it just not that amazing? So without any further ado, let's jump in. Alright, this time it's front camera video, and well, obviously there are some things that you can notice like right off the bat. I don't even have to look at the video. Is that the Note 20 Ultra is way wider, and that's a really good thing actually, because selfie cameras, the wider you get it, the better, I guess. And there are, well, issues here. I guess we could say they are, because the OnePlus 8 Pro, it only supports up to 1080p at 30. No 1080p 60, 4K, nothing. And that, in my opinion, is not a good thing, I'd say, because end of the day, if you like using the selfie camera for videos, for anything as such, video related even in the front camera, then you'd most definitely want something that has the resolution and overall detail that you can get out of 4K. The Note 20 Ultra does a pretty damn amazing job. It can go up to 4K 30. This is, 4K 60. This is 4K 30. And yeah, I think the Note 20 Ultra will be the one that looks better, at least in terms of the details. Rest of the video, of course, that'll depend on how it looks overall. I'll let you guys know soon enough. Okay, so here, first and foremost, I just want to say that the wider field of view that I don't know how I saw it on the Note 20, but I don't think it's really that wide. But nonetheless, the 4K on the Note just looks tremendously good. The detail levels, it just amazes me almost. The OnePlus, on the other hand, well, it's not that great looking. The detail levels, it's a little bit smudged, and the colors especially, I look very red on the OnePlus 8 Pro. I don't really know why, but I just do. The Note, on the other hand, very good skin tones, and the brightness is also a little bit better. So yeah, in terms of image quality, I definitely prefer the Note. As compared to the microphones, well, I like how the Note sounds. It's really cancelling out all the background noise. On the other hand, the OnePlus is louder, but the mic quality is just not good. I mean, my voice is sounding really distorted, and there is this tremendous amount of background noise that I don't know how the OnePlus 8 Pro picked all that up, because even I couldn't hear all that. But it did, and I really don't like how the audio is processed on the OnePlus 8 Pro, and so I'm just gonna pick the Note 20 Ultra for both image quality or video quality and audio quality as well. Alright, now we have 4K 30 outdoors, and right off the bat you can see there are some very style differences in terms of the video processing and color processing. The Note 20 Ultra looks a lot more natural. It's kind of flat in terms of the contrast levels, but that also gives us a little bit better shadow detail and overall highlight preservation. So yes, the dynamic range looks a little bit better on the Note. And the color temperature, man, it is so accurate on the Note. The OnePlus, on the other hand, I think the only reason why I don't like the OnePlus is the very cooler color temperature that it's got going. I mean, it could be enticing to some people, just not to me, definitely not. I much rather prefer the slightly more natural look that the Note 20 Ultra is giving us. And if you notice, there is way higher contrast on the OnePlus 8 Pro, so yeah. And again, I realize this can quite easily be ruled out as personal preference, but I'll let you guys know my preference, which is obviously the Note 20 Ultra. Alright, now we have 4K 60, and as you'd expect, there is this loss in stabilization, and even if you look at the overall details, both of them appear kinda smudged up. The Note does appear slightly more smudged up in terms of the details and sharpness. The OnePlus, not so much, which is a good thing actually. And again, same thing in terms of the colors. I prefer the colors on the Note, but the detail levels are definitely better on the OnePlus. So I guess we could call this one a tie, because of the fact that there is one pro and one con for each. But nonetheless, I still think that 4K 30 is the perfect middle ground for stabilization, color, details. It's just that we can get a very balanced look overall with 4K 30. Alright, now let us move on to super steady video on both. And I don't think I even have to say it, but the Note 20 Ultra has definitely better stabilization, but it does lose out on a lot of the details and the resolution as well because it's locked at 1080p at 30, while the OnePlus 8 Pro, although the stabilization isn't as good as the Note, the resolution is just amazing. The detail levels that you can get, it's tremendous. It's not as good as normal 4K 30, but definitely way closer. And yeah, I definitely like how the details are on the OnePlus 8 Pro, but technically, because of the fact that the Super Steady video is meant for stabilization, I guess the Note 20 Ultra takes the upper hand in that regard. But even so, the 4K 30 Super Steady video mode that we have on the OnePlus 8 Pro, it's a really good thing. Because let's face it, unless you're just gonna run around with the phone and record video, I don't think you'll need that excessive amount of stabilization that we can get on the Note. The 4K 30 Super Steady on OnePlus should be more than enough. Now for our last outdoor shot, we have the ultra-wide video, both of them at 4K 30, and as you can see once again, the Note 20 Ultra way more natural, a tremendous amount of shadow detail, which is like obviously why I'm going to pick the Note 20 Ultra here. The OnePlus 8 Pro, it doesn't look bad, but there's just not enough shadow detail to work with here. I mean, a lot of the shadows are just being crushed right off the bat, and yeah, I don't think that it looks as good as a Note. Alright, now for indoors video, and with Valentine, we all know that Valentine can be a very hard subject to track focus. And as you can see, the OnePlus 8 Pro, it struggles a lot when it comes to keeping focus on Valentine. It hunts a lot and it loses focus, and overall, I just don't think that the OnePlus 8 Pro does a very good job in terms of tracking Valentine along with my camera movements. The Note on the other hand, it's just tremendous, like locked focus on Valentine. It's not even budging for a second. Well, we all gotta admit that extra laser autofocus sensor that the Note 20 Ultra has, it does a tremendous job. A lot of the heavy lifting for focusing is just, it accomplishes it with some of the best results I've seen so far. Now obviously I would have called this one a tie in terms of the overall video quality because both of them look nearly identical with a little bit higher contrast on the OnePlus 8 Pro as we have seen till now, but because of the fact that the tracking focusing is just so bad on the OnePlus 8 Pro, I have to pick the Note 20 Ultra here. Alright, now just to show you guys how the zoom mechanism works on the Note, here as you can see, we can zoom in from the ultra wide to the main camera and it does this little zoom animation that, I don't know, I kinda like it. And after that you can go up to 5 times zoom as well. But here, for some reason, I just don't think it's using the periscope zoom camera because there's a tremendous amount of grain and noise overall. And yeah, maybe it's because of the fact that the aperture size of the 5x periscope zoom camera is like very small, which is why it's letting in way less light. It could be a reason why the image quality isn't that good, but nonetheless, you can get quite a bit far away and it's optical zoom, so maybe in good daylight you'll get good results. The OnePlus on the other hand, it has no fancy zoom animations, but nonetheless it gets the job done. The ultrawide camera, I do think once again, it does lack a little bit more detail and the dynamic range not so good, but nonetheless it looks good enough I guess. And you can zoom in up to 3 times optically on this one. And here I think the fact that the aperture is a little bit more open on the OnePlus 8 Pro, it lets in a little bit more light, and hence the video quality looks a little bit better than the Note 20 Ultra when zoomed in. So I guess you could say the Note 20 is not as good for indoor zooming in, but yeah, nonetheless you can zoom in farther on the Note, so I think that's a pro on that regard. But anyways, let's move on to the focusing test, and here as you can see, the Note 20 Ultra does a tremendous job. I mean, let's face it, that laser autofocus system, it's unbelievably good. Just the speed and accuracy of focusing is amazing. And here, as you can see, the OnePlus 8 Pro also doesn't seem to have any issues in terms of focusing when it comes to this particular focusing test at least. So here's just my little conclusion that I have for the problems that the OnePlus 8 Pro had with focusing earlier. It's that the OnePlus 8 Pro, it somehow just cannot track the subject fast enough or properly enough. So I guess it just has a hard time tracking a moving subject along with the movements of the camera. But when it comes to this kind of focusing test, it seems to ace that well enough. So I guess it's only the tracking focusing that OnePlus has to improve, because otherwise the focusing seems to work fast and accurately enough. Now of course, we cannot forget that we have 8K video on the Note 20 Ultra. I mean, it's kind of crazy if you think about it. 8K on a phone, I mean, yeah, sure, it's gonna give you a little bit more grain, there's gonna be tremendous crop, and of course, there's a loss of stabilization, but well, it's 8K, so I guess we can overall that stuff, but nonetheless, I guess 8K is very circumstantial. You cannot use it normally, you cannot use it handheld, it'll just give you bad video altogether. So yeah, this is on a tripod as you can see, and I think this is the only way to properly use 8K in my opinion. And yeah, do keep in mind there is the tremendous crop. Now finally, we have slow motion on both of them, and it's 1080p at 240 on both. So here, some things that I noticed very instantly is that the Note 20 Ultra and OnePlus, both of them have good amount of noise in the background. Now of course, the lighting wasn't as good as daylight, it was good enough for usable slow motion video, but nonetheless, you can see the Note 20 Ultra's noise levels are like noticeably lower than the OnePlus 8 Pro. And it also surprises me because the OnePlus has much higher contrast, which leads to a lot of the shadows being crushed. So in a way, the noise reduction algorithm on the OnePlus 8 Pro is just not doing that great a job, at least not in slow motion. The Note, on the other hand, way better in my opinion. And if you look at the glass and the water pouring in, the Note does look a tad bit sharper than the OnePlus 8 Pro. So yeah, all in all, I definitely prefer how slow motion video is handled on the Note 20 Ultra with slightly lower noise, a little bit more detail on the subject. It overall looks a little bit better in my opinion. So I guess that's a wrap for the video comparison, and having done the image comparison between the OnePlus 8 Pro and Note 20 Ultra as well, I definitely think that the Note 20 Ultra will give you a lot more natural, slightly less contrasty, and yeah, subjectively less punchy photos as well. And the same goes for videos, because at the end of the day, you will get, again, more accurate and natural looking photos on the Note, while the OnePlus 8 Pro will definitely give you more punchy photos, but that does come with its own share of problems. First and foremost being the fact that there is this color temperature balance issue that I've found. The OnePlus 8 Pro does give a lot more cooler photographs and videos, which, yeah, I get it, some people might like it, but I don't know, it's just not for me, I guess. But another issue that I did find is that the higher contrast can sometimes cause the shadows to be very crushed. I mean, you guys just saw the ultra-wide video definitely had a lot more crushed shadows than on a 20 Ultra. In some cases, it also leads to some highlights being blown out, but yeah, overall, you will get higher contrast on the OnePlus 8 Pro, and maybe, subjectively again, better dynamic range on the Note 20 Ultra. Now, of course, the question just arises that which one do you guys prefer? Is it the OnePlus 8 Pro's more punchy and higher contrasty look, or is it the more natural and accurate look of the Note 20 Ultra? I prefer the Note 20 Ultra overall because of the fact that I like how it produces videos and images. But yeah, really, I don't think the Note 20 Ultra is actually worth double the amount of money when it comes to the cameras alone. Of course, there are a number of other features that the Note 20 Ultra has that the OnePlus 8 Pro just doesn't. But even so, in terms of the cameras alone, I don't think it's worth double the price. But of course, that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, do hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will be seeing you guys later. Cheers.